Number 19. Oxtail stew. The tail of the cow was considered butcher's waste, tossed aside for anyone willing to take it. Enslaved cooks took it. They braised those bony segments for hours with onions, garlic, and whatever root vegetables they could find, and the connective tissue slowly melted into the most luxurious gravy imaginable. The natural gelatin from the bones turned the broth silky and rich, clinging to every spoonful. One oxtail could feed a family because the long cook extracted every possible calorie from the bone and marrow. Today, oxtail sells for $12 to $15 a pound at the butcher. Restaurants serve it on white tablecloths as a delicacy. But for generations, it was the throwaway cut that enslaved cooks turned into something a king would envy. Number 18. One-pot cooking. First, a pattern break. Here is where the story shifts. That cast iron pot, sitting over a fire in the plantation kitchen, was not just a cooking vessel, it was a laboratory. Enslaved cooks developed one-pot cooking techniques out of necessity. They had one pot, one fire, and whatever ingredients they could find. But that limitation forced innovation. They slow-layered flavors, building a base with smoked pork, adding greens, dropping in whatever vegetables were available, and then letting time do the work. This became the foundation of Southern cooking itself. French chefs call it braising. Italian grandmothers call it slow cooking. But enslaved black women in Virginia, Georgia, and South Carolina were doing it first. The method was African in origin, rooted in West African one-pot stews called palava sauce and groundnut soups. They carried the technique across the Atlantic in their memory because it was the one thing that could not be taken from them. Number 17. Red beans and rice. Every Monday in New Orleans, enslaved cooks put a pot of red beans on the fire because Monday was wash day, and the beans could simmer unattended while the grueling work of washing and wringing laundry by hand consumed every hour. A ham bone left from Sunday dinner went into the pot first, then kidney beans, onion, celery, and bell pepper, the holy trinity of Creole cooking. Hours later, the beans turned creamy and thick, collapsing into a gravy that coated every grain of rice. This dish fed more people per penny than almost anything else on this list. It became so identified with New Orleans that Louis Armstrong used to sign his letters red beans and ricely yours. The recipe traveled from the plantation kitchen to every neighborhood in the city, crossing racial and economic lines because it was simply too good and too cheap to ignore. Number 16. Cornbread, dressing, Southern Thanksgiving staple. When Thanksgiving came, enslaved cooks created something from cornbread that rivaled any European stuffing. They crumbled day-old cornbread, mixed it with sautéed onions, celery, and sage, moistened it with broth from whatever bird was being roasted, and baked it in a cast iron skillet until the top turned golden and the inside stayed moist and savory. Unlike wheat bread stuffing, cornbread dressing had a crumbly, almost sandy texture that absorbed gravy like nothing else. The cornbread itself was a product of necessity, since wheat flour was expensive and reserved for the main house. Cornmeal was what enslaved cooks had, and from it they built a side dish that now anchors Thanksgiving tables across the entire South. Families fight over cornbread dressing the way other families fight over the turkey. The recipe passed from mother to daughter, generation after generation, and every family swears theirs is the original.